The Denver Broncos suffocated Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets to get to 2-2 on the season. But the offense struggled once again. Are we more concerned about the offense or encouraged by the defense? We're diving into the game yesterday, and that question starting now. The Broncos are back, baby. I'm back, and we are back on the DNVR Broncos Podcast, live from the Toyota Lounge inside the DNVR Bar, which, of course, the Toyota Lounge is driven by your local Front Range Toyota stores. And we are presented to you by our friends over at Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 over at Bet365. Fellas, happy Victory Monday.
Yes, we won yesterday.
Are you reminding yourself because it didn't feel like a win?
I think, you said we're back. I think you have to say the defense is back. We've had really good offenses, whether it was John Elway, Peyton Manning, even Tim Tebow for a game or two. Like, I think we got to specify.
Bo Nix week 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We got to specify who's back. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. No, it was a very Tim Tebow-like game yesterday.
Wow, so you guys don't believe. I mean, we dropped the believe shirts, and you guys are like, nah, I'm going to hold off on buying that shirt.
The thing about believe is that, like, you wouldn't have to believe if he was just good, you know? Like, you have to believe after a game like that because, like, hey, got it done. It's like Tim Tebow, you know? You have to, with Payton, you don't have to believe. You just, you know. Uh-huh. It doesn't just say no. Or Bo knows, for example.
Yes.
It's believe.
We have faith right now, you know? I think faith is important. Faith is important, but there's no actions right now.
For many reasons, I had so much faith in Tim Tebow and everything that he brought to the Broncos. I've got that same feeling about Bo Nix. The only difference is, you would see John Elway in the suite when he was GM, in the GM suite with the Tebow years, just in total disbelief. Like, this guy's doing it again? Like, he's my quarterback, and I don't even believe in him. And now Sean Payton 100% believes in Bo Nix and where this is going. And yesterday, he had some pretty strong remarks after the game just about his confidence in Bo Nix. I want to get to those in a little bit, but let's start off with some good news. We just got off a conference call with Sean Payton. Tyler Badie flew back to Denver last night with a Broncos medical personnel staff. Not on the Broncos plane. He flew back a little bit later than the Broncos did, but he did fly back commercially. He's obviously flying back commercially means he's walking. He's got full body function, which is really good and very encouraging. The Broncos are still evaluating tests with him, but it does seem like, at least from a human standpoint, he's going to be okay, which was obviously the biggest concern coming out of yesterday.
Yeah, that's huge. That's very important. And I've been on teams where guys couldn't fly back because, once I think it's your blood pressure rises once you're in the air, it could affect whatever injuries you have going on. So I think that's a good sign that this wasn't, a great injury to where he could be in harm for flying. So important that he got on the plane and important that he's back. And I just hope for him to have a speedy recovery and get back to healthy soon because he was playing well. I mean, he was playing well, so I want him to be healthy.
Yep. That blood pressure thing is why PJ Locke had to drive all the way to Detroit in the RV last year. Should be terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, PJ Locke, speaking of balling, he was balling yesterday. And with Tyler Badie, it is being called a back injury right now. And obviously he had that fumble. That's likely where I would imagine that it happened. Yeah. And then whether he collapsed on the sideline, not exactly sure. But Todd, just how, obviously from like a fan media perspective, that's a very scary situation. Anytime someone, 1, collapses on the sideline, 2, gets put on a stretcher, 3, leaves on the field on a cart, and he did all of the above. Very scary situation. But when you're on that sideline, how tough is that as a player to then move on from? They did stop the game while he left on the stretcher, but then it's the play clock starts and you got 25 seconds until the start of the next play. How difficult is that compartmentalizing? Or is that just something that, you grow up the game for 20 years, you're kind of used to just moving on?
It is part of the game, but it's still tough to see. And then it's kind of like a mind trip trying to get your mind, like, focused on the next play. But you got to kind of think to yourself, at least I did, like, if I slow down or if I don't go as hard because I'm nervous of getting hurt, like, you get hurt more times like that than if you're running full speed and hitting hard. So you just try to shake it off and tell yourself, all right, just keep playing your game, stay focused, and, hope that you could be healthy. But it does shake you up with it being on the sideline because, we feel like gladiators, ourselves. Like, Alex Singleton tore his ACL first quarter. He played the rest of the game. Like, that's how we're mentally wired. So for something to be so bad that you can't go, that you have to be carted off, like, you're like, oh, shoot. It reminds you how often people get hurt and how football is a game, but it also has serious consequences if you don't protect yourself.
Yeah, it's a really good point. The Broncos defense certainly was able to shake it off and go out there and dominate the Jets. And you just brought it up. Let's start with the defense, Todd, because obviously the Broncos win this game on the back of their defense. An incredible start to the season. But really these past 2 weeks, it's been the defense that has kept the Broncos season alive. They were 0-2 2 weeks ago, staring easily at an 0-4 start to this season. We all went through when the Broncos are going to win the next game. Some were saying the Panthers, some were saying the Chargers. There was no hope in sight, really, because of how difficult these next few games were going to be. The Raiders were looking good 2 weeks ago, and they just came off a win. Who did they beat? Was it the Jets?
I can't remember.
They came off a really big win. It was like, oh my gosh,
Ravens.
The Ravens. That's exactly right.
Yep.
Derrick Henry looks pretty damn good now.
Yeah, he's running.
And it was just like, oh my gosh, this is looking awful. And then the defense said, no, we got you. They've given up an average of 8 points per game the last 2 weeks. And we're not talking about bad teams. We're talking about Tampa Bay Bucks, who put it on the Eagles yesterday. We're talking about the New York Jets in New York, and Rodgers was supposed to be clicking entering this game, and the Broncos said, no, you're not. You're not clicking at all. And I want to start with the inside linebacker position, Todd, because Cody Barton steps in seamlessly with that green dot. He plays every single snap just like Alex Singleton did. But then today, Sean said, it wasn't more so what Cody did, because that's kind of what Cody's been doing this entire year. He's been our other starter. It's what those other guys did, specifically Justin Strnad stepping in, going from playing 0 defensive snaps in years to playing 77% of the defensive snaps and having a big impact.
Yeah, I think that the inside linebackers play really well. What I love from Justin is everybody sees him as this cover linebacker that can make plays in the passing game, and I feel like all the plays he made had nothing to do with pass. They were all downhill blitzes, run-stopping plays, big-time tackles. I felt like he really showed his physicality, and that's another piece of his game that he has that not a lot of people have seen. And then Cody, Cody came in and played well, and I think it's easy to say he's been doing it all year. Well, if he's been doing it all year, why did you bring in Christian Welch? Why did you bring in 2 veteran linebackers? Like, in my opinion, he has been doing it all year, but we can't just act like it's just been – he's been given the key to the city and just given free reign. Like, he has had a lot of competition and has had to put up with guys coming in and getting reps when he's been here all training camp and doing a great job. So hats off to him. That's not an easy position to be in, because I got to play well, because if not, Welch is right behind me and they're trying to get him to play. So he had a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and I felt like he came in and did a great job of it. And
not only that, Todd, but then let's go a step further. So their actions have shown like, we don't really know if we trust this inside linebacker group out of Alex Singleton, because in the past 3 weeks, the Broncos have brought in Christian Welch, who has played, and in fact played 4 days after the Broncos signed him, got snaps over Cody Barton. Last week, they bring in 2 guys, Zach Cunningham and Quan Alexander, on the practice squad, because it was a little shaky there in terms of their actions telling us it was a little shaky at inside linebacker. And then multiple times Sean Payton has said, we need to add to our inside linebacker group. We kind of want to add to it because we're not so sure about it. So I totally agree with you. I don't think they were sold on Cody Barton. And also, Cody Barton has not been playing this role. Cody Barton's been playing the Justin Strnad role of yesterday, playing the 77% snaps, which is still a very big role on the defense, but not the every down guy, not the guy who's relaying plays, not the guy with the green dot, not the guy that's not leaving the field And he's asked to do everything now. He's not just asked to do one specific thing. If you're staying on the field the entire game, it means you're asked to do every single part of it. So I do think he took a very different role in this game and really stepped up to it.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is just that they use 2 linebackers more than they have, which we talked about before the game. We weren't really sure if that was going to be the case, because you can go to that penny front when you have Alex Singleton behind him, or behind that front 5, but without him, can you trust somebody to fill all of those gaps? And we saw it a couple of times, but it was like the third quarter before they even broke it out. So for the most part, the Broncos had to put, or felt like they had to put, 2 linebackers on the field for basically the entire game, and they did their jobs. Like they didn't make it look like a terrible decision to take, a defensive lineman off the field in exchange for one of those linebackers.
Yeah, 100%. You're right about that. And then credit to Justin Sternad. Todd, how difficult is it? And I'm not trying to upplay. I'm truly asking, how difficult is it to not play a single defensive snap in years and then be asked to be a starter and go out and play 77% of the defensive snaps and dominate while doing it?
Yeah, I think that's a credit to him. I think it's very easy to get caught in the backup role and not even prepare sometimes for defense. Like, oh, there's no play, there's no way I'm getting plays. But in the game of football, you're one play away from starting. So he's had years and years of working hard on special teams, but also understanding the defense, knowing his job and his responsibility, that now he looks very prepared because he's been doing a great job of preparing himself. He didn't sit back and, say, I'll just be a special teamer. He was just waiting for his opportunity. And, yesterday you saw that he's fully prepared to be a starter in the NFL.
And I loved his mindset after the game talking about it, because his family lives in Tampa and in South Florida. And he said, man, this past week has been so hard for me personally because my family's been dealing with this hurricane that's about to hit the city. I've been in Tampa, West Virginia, bouncing around. I've been unstable in kind of my own life as well. And now I'm learning this whole new role for myself this week. So I just think that shows the mental toughness he had. And he said he obviously knew what play was being dialed up to start the game. And then when that hole opened and he was hitting it, he said, oh my gosh, I'm about to sack Aaron Rodgers. And it's just such a cool human experience and just very realistic. Like, oh my God, my very first play of defense in 3 years, I'm about to go sack Aaron Rodgers. And he got it done. And so much credit to Vance Joseph, because he is calling the right shots, more than just the right shots. He's dialing up excellent defense right now. And I want to get into more of the defense after I give a shout out to our friends over at Game Time, where the Broncos are back home this week taking on the Raiders, and they're rocking their old school uniforms this week. And if you want to be there for this game, I don't think tickets are going to be as easy to get as they've been in the past, because this is a Broncos team that is in it in October. They did not fall to 0-4. They're very much in it, tied with the Raiders, tied with the Chargers for second in the division. And if you want to get in, go to our friends over at Game Time, where they've got the best user interface. They've got the most honest pricing. They've got the Game Time guarantee. Everything about Game Time is the absolute best. So download the Game Time app and use the code DNVR to get $20 off your first purchase over at Game Time. You can go to gametime.co, or you can download the Game Time app to get in and get tickets to Broncos, Raiders, or any other sporting event or concert or event you're going to be in. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem using the code DNVR to get $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game Time. And shout out to our friends over at UC Health and their Ready, Set, Go challenge. The goal of the challenge is to get Colorado back to its rightful place as the healthiest state. And it's so important that they brought along Coach Prime and a couple of different personas for Coach Prime. So this specific persona is named Sleep Prime. And Sleep Prime says when you get 8 hours of sleep, he's so ready, set, go, it's dreamy. Sleep is a key part of our overall health, and we need to prioritize getting 8 quality hours a night. A lot of things happen while you sleep, from your physical well-being to neurological benefits. It is one of the main ways to get and keep yourself healthy. Sleep is super important. I get it every night. I think it's important too. 8 hours is the magic number. I do feel groggy when I get like 6 or 5. I don't feel like myself. So it's important to get 8 hours of sleep. So I'm up here giving you guys my best self every morning because that's what I'm here to do. And you don't want to sleep on sleep. 8 hours of sleep is the magic number. Make a good night's sleep a priority. Put your phone down when you go to bed. Try guided sleep apps. Anything you can to get yourself ready, relaxed, and able to enjoy a good night's sleep is what you need to do. If you want to join UC Health's Ready, Set, Go Challenge, click the link in the show notes or go to www.uchealth.org/Ready, Set, Go.
The Broncos, and shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. Henry, what was your biggest takeaway from the Broncos defense by keeping Aaron Rodgers out of the end zone and holding the Jets to 9 points?
They didn't miss tackles. That was the big thing. They just didn't give him anything for free. And I think that's why, you just watch like the Bills last night against the Ravens. They would have been in that game if they weren't just blowing tackles and turning 2-yard runs into 8-yard runs over and over and over. Now, I mean, that's Derrick Henry they're trying to tackle, but that was the big thing to me is just that they did all the little things well, and that's why everything worked out in the end.
I like that. Todd?
Man, when I watch the film, man, I just keep seeing Riley Moss. He's all over the film. Whether it's making plays in the passing game, PBUs, or it's forcing fumbles in the run game. I mean, he does everything, I feel like, and he really has become a big piece of this because we talked about it all year. You have Pat Surtain across from you. You're going to get a lot of targets. They're going to try you. They're going to see what you can do, and he has more than steps to play. He's doing a tremendous job playing alongside Pat, and I think is really helping the defense to be, playing at an elite level. So Riley Moss for sure, and then you got to give it to the D-line. The D-line as a whole, from JFM to Roach to Zach Allen, who's playing with his hair on fire, no matter what PFF says. I think rush and coverage always work together, and they're really working together right now for the Denver Broncos.
And let's start with Riley, because I totally agree with you, Todd. And Aaron Rodgers, he's a smart quarterback. He said, I'm not going to throw to Pat Surtain. In fact, Pat lined up against Garrett Wilson 18 times in the first half yesterday. Aaron Rodgers didn't target him a single time. He just said, no, Garrett Wilson's my guy, my best receiver, but Pat's even better than him, so I'm not going to go to him. So what does that mean? It means I'm going to look Riley Moss's way. And I don't blame Aaron Rodgers for doing that, because that shows how good Pat is. I talked to Pat after the game. He said, hey, with a big smile, he just said, hey, that means I'm doing my job. Is it frustrating? Sure, but at the end of the day, they're not throwing my way. That's the ultimate compliment. And so they kept going after Riley Moss. And I just love the way that Riley plays. And he has been called for a lot of penalties early on this season. And I love that it's not changing the way he approaches the game. Because if he changes that, we've seen corners change the way they approach, especially, Damari Mathis flagged, 4 times in his very first start a couple of years ago. Then he kind of changed the way he played, and that hurt him in the long run. I love that Riley's just sticking to his guns, and he is a dog out there. Not just in coverage, but also creating turnovers. I was actually surprised that he didn't lead the team in tackles again today or yesterday, because he's just always around the ball, and that is so big. And because it's the quarterback position, the quarterback carousel gets talked about so much, and probably as it should in Denver, but of course it's embarrassing. What are we up to? 14 quarterbacks now since Peyton Manning, something like that. The cornerback carousel, since Chris Harris and Aqib Talib were separated as that elite duo. Yeah. There's been one. Every single year the Broncos are bringing in 1 or 2 veterans, a rookie as well in that mix, and it's just kind of a rotating door at that second cornerback. And I think the Broncos, I'm very comfortable saying they found that dude to be opposite Pat Surtain, which is just huge for a defense and just takes so much stress off Vance Joseph for having to worry about every single game. Okay, well, we're going up against Aaron Rodgers. We know they're going to target Riley Moss 25 times in this game. How do we make sure that he doesn't get absolutely killed? Now, he doesn't really have to worry about Riley. No, not at all. I think it's going to be interesting, throughout the course of the season, how teams choose to attack the Denver Broncos. Because, now you got 2 guys that are taking away your 2 best receivers. So you're going to have to start looking inside to the tight ends and the running backs to try and make plays for you. And although we may face some good ones, I don't think anybody's going to be good enough to really hurt us. So I really feel like this dominant defense will be able to continue the entire season. Yeah. I totally agree. And Henry, like you said about tackling, that's one thing Sean Payton pointed to. He said there were 3 keys on defense, and the number one was going to be tackling, was just not giving Aaron Rodgers extra plays, extra room to work with. And the Broncos were excellent at that yesterday.
Yeah, no, I mean, they didn't miss tackles. I think that goes a long way. Yeah, credit to them. Like that changes. Again, it's a 2-yard gain, it's the 8-yard gain. Just didn't happen.
To me, my biggest takeaway from this defense is something that people have been talking about in the Toyota chat and online. It's that apology to Vance Joseph. It's a Vance Joseph apology tour that's happening right now. And my biggest takeaway is let's break down and look at the guys on defense that are playing. There's an elite player with Pat Surtain. There's some really good young talent with Riley Moss, with Brandon Jones. He's still a young player. PJ Locke. And then there are some really good veteran pieces as well. Zach Allen, John Franklin Myers. But for the whole, the Broncos don't have the highest paid defense in the NFL. They don't have first-round picks at every single position. This isn't the most stacked defense in the league. In fact, PFF said the Broncos had, it wasn't it PFF or some national outlet said the Broncos had the worst roster in the NFL. The defense is half the team. So clearly those outlets didn't think the Broncos had a very talented defense. And look what Vance Joseph's doing.
Yeah.
Vance Joseph is putting on a masterclass of how to build a defense throughout a week and then call it up once the game comes around. He is coaching as good, if not better, than anyone in the entire NFL right now. Alex Singleton, a key, a heart and soul to this defense, both in terms of just the emotions that he brings, but also he's the play caller. He's Mr. Tackler. You lose him, and you go out and have a great tackling performance. You replace him with Cody Barton. And then a guy that hasn't played defense in 3 years, Justin Strnad, comes in and plays great as well. When I'm looking at so many different pieces that are playing well, I look at the guy up top who's organizing it all and calling all the shots. Vance Joseph is coaching out of his mind right now. And one of the things that I brought up on the postgame show yesterday, Aaron Rodgers was sacked 5 times. Sean Payton said that might not happen for another 20 games. Sean Payton's underselling that. That might not happen the rest of Aaron Rodgers' career because the last time it happened was in 2020 when he was sacked 5 times. Over the past decade, Aaron Rodgers has only been sacked 5 times, just a couple of times. I think it's 3 times or something like that. And this is coming from sacks from PJ Locke, Justin Strnad, Nick Bonito, not Von Miller and top 5 pick Bradley Chubb. He is coaching so unbelievably well, and he's dialing up blitzes at the right time. One of the things you don't want to do against Aaron Rodgers is blitz him because it's going to likely result in him picking your defense apart down the field.
Yeah.
Well, Vance dialed up the blitzes at just the right time, brought pressure just when Aaron Rodgers was expecting it. Sean Payton today said Aaron Rodgers, after looking at the film, Aaron Rodgers had no idea PJ Locke was going to be was coming off the edge, and then that's why he was just unblocked to get that big sack in the game. And this is all credit to Vance.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a great job coaching those guys up. The guys are doing a good job of holding disguises and not letting quarterbacks know when they're coming off the edge like PJ Locke was. They're doing a great job of making everything look the same. And I think the great thing about Vance is he really does a good job of helping his players understand why I'm calling what I'm calling. Like, why am I calling man on 3rd and 8 to 12? Oh, it's because they run these concepts. So when I put you in man and you look at the sticks and it's 8 to 12, these are the concepts you should be expecting, and this is what we want to play against these concepts. Like, he does a great job of having you understand why we're doing what we're doing, because it's easy just to call a defense. Anybody could do that. But if you understand the defensive coordinator's mindset, it allows you to play to those preferences or what he's thinking about or what he's trying to get done. I think you have a better understanding of what you need to do when you understand what the job that he's expecting everybody to do. And so I think that's why they're playing so well as a unit now. And guys are just doing their job. Last year, a lot of guys were doing their own thing, were, going inside of gaps when they need to stay inside, trying to make plays, doing too much. And now everybody is doing their job, and it just looks clean.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice that it's just the second year in the system, too. So all these guys have done it before. Because at this point last year, again, guys weren't doing their jobs, but who knows if they knew what their jobs were, or like if they understood why their job was what it was. After being in that system for as long as they have now, I mean, that's got to be really helpful.
Yeah. I think the second year in the system is, really the best year. I think the first year you're kind of getting warmed up. The second year you all understand your job. But I mean, you look at guys like Brandon Jones and JFM, like they've been in the system for a couple months, and they're balling out too. I think he's doing a great job of coaching up the new guys and the old guys, and it's just working out well for him.
And Todd, you sat in on a lot of these meetings, a lot of early mornings, a lot of late nights in training camp. What's the key for Vance being able to kind of take it to the next level with this team in terms of everyone understanding why they're running this on 3rd and 8? Is it because it's the second year in a defense, or does Vance do something that a lot of defensive coordinators just either can't do or don't want to do?
He, like I said, he does a good job of explaining things. So when he puts together his call sheet, which is like the plays we're going to have run for the week, like he runs through the entire call sheet with the guys. Like first, second down, like this play. I'm looking at this play to be like the first and second down call when they have this personnel because they do these things. If they're starting a drive, I'm going to go here. If they get a first down, okay, I'm going to go here. Like it's very, very detailed, so you have no questions. There should be nobody blowing assignments. Like everybody knows their job because he puts so much detail into like why I'm calling what I'm calling.
And when do you... Is that like on Tuesdays or Wednesdays you go through that before you go through the whole week of practice?
Yeah, so it's like every day is broken down differently. So usually like Tuesdays are off days, so Wednesday is like first, second down. Thursday is third down, majority, and a little bit more of like corrections from first, second down. Friday is red zone heavy and a little bit more third down. And then Saturday is usually like end of game situations, Hail Marys, things like that, and then corrections from the rest of the week.
Do you guys think I'm off saying that this isn't one of the more talented defenses in the NFL?
I mean, you just got to kind of go group by group. I mean, the front three, if you call that the defensive line, I mean, that's right up there. I mean, you've invested so much into that group. DJ Jones makes $10 million a year, and he totally deserves it. But
yeah, to be fair though, like Chris Jones is making $30 million, so $10 million's a lot. But like,
oh, totally. But then what are the other guys making?
Much.
And when you have
John Franklin Myers is making $6.
Totally, but you also traded
Zach Allen's
for him.
making 15, so that's big.
But then you also traded for John Franklin Myers, and then you also have Malcolm Roach back there. But I mean, it's still an investment.
Yeah.
But like you invest so much in that group, and it's totally paying off. Like they should be, just given how much you've invested, be one of the like 5 best groups in the NFL. Edge rushers, it's still kind of up in the air. They're making plays, but you just need to see them improve it. Linebackers, obviously, we're going to see what they are without Alex Singleton. But then the secondary, that is probably another group where you are really talented, just because with Pat, Jaquan, and Riley, I mean, that should be one of the best corner groups in the NFL, and Brandon Jones looks like he fits well with PJ Locke. So I don't think that there's a lack of talent. I mean, I wouldn't say, like, they're not the Chargers with Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack and like Asante Samuel, Derwin but I would also say Chargers probably have more holes than the Broncos do.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there was a lack of talent at all. I think there's a lack of big names. But if you talk about J-Mac, he has to be one of the top 5 nickels in the game. When you talk about Pastor 10, he has to be the number 1 corner in the game. You talk about the interior D lineman, I think all 3 of those guys would be top 20 in the NFL. Yeah. So when you get 3 guys of that caliber, you don't have to have one Chris Jones. You have 3 guys that are ballers. Like, they just don't have the names and notoriety. But as far as playing and talent, I mean, there's a lot of guys with talent on the team. I mean, from Baron Browning, who's injured, Ohio State, highly recruited, to Nick Bonito coming off the edge, may have one of the fastest get-offs in the NFL, has dealt with a lot of injuries, so he's not, doesn't have the name where he's supposed to, but he was drafted pretty highly. Like, there's talent on the team. There's just not the name recognition.
Yeah, and I disagree with you guys. I think that
you're a hater.
No.
Wow.
It's the complete opposite. It's the complete opposite, actually, of that.
So is Hank not talented because everybody loves Zach Stevens?
Wow.
If we want to go that way. No, but I think it's. I think the sum is a lot better than the parts, and I think that just speaks volumes to Vance Joseph. Now, I'm not saying this is a bottom 5 talented defense. No, that's not what I'm saying. I think they're top 3rd. in terms of talent, but I don't think they're one. And I think they're playing like one. So that's what I'm saying, that they still are a very talented group. But, I mean, Baron Browning, he's injured right now. Baron Browning was a talent, yes. He was a third-round pick. If you're a incredibly talented pass rusher, you're a top 5 pick, a.k.a. Bradley Chubb, a.k.a. Von Miller. If we're talking like elite talent, same with Nick Bonito. He was the very last pick in the second round. Those guys, if you are elite talent, and I put that in air quotes a little bit because we don't exactly know what that means, you're going top 5. And so it's this collection of outside line. Jonathan Cooper is a monster right now. He was a 7th-round pick. The inside linebackers, you're playing with Cody Barton, who was signed as a free agent for, what, $3 million, $4 million? And a guy that hasn't played defense in 3 years in Justin Sternad. P.J. Locke, $3 million sort of player. So I'm viewing it as like how the league views this team. And I still think if PFF or NFL.com or ESPN were to update their talent rankings and go through defense by defense, Broncos would probably be 15 right now, or 12, I think. And I'm not saying that that's right, but I do think that's how they're viewed around the league. I think a lot of people would still say, man, a lot more talented defenses out there. They're the Broncos. And the Broncos are playing way better than any of the other ones. I mean, they could be the best defense in the NFL. Maybe we'll have that conversation later in the week. And so my point is not to hate, is to give all the credit and so much credit to Vance Joseph. And then obviously it trickles down to those guys as well. So that's my point is, man, I don't know if Vance is going to be here next year. And if you would have said that 3 weeks ago, people would have said, yeah, because he's getting fired. Now it's because he's going to be a head coach somewhere. Wow. I mean, he is on the hot list of head coach candidates right now.
Yeah, I think he will be soon. And I actually talked to him about it while I was there. Like, would you want to be a head coach again? And he was like, hell yeah. And I was like, I feel like I could do it. He was like, everything went how it went with Denver, but I feel like I could do it. And I was like, I know you could. So, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully we see him, as a head coach soon.
Man, but then, Todd, that might mean you're following him as like a defensive coordinator. I don't know if I want that.
Hey, I have my clipboard ready. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you go old school like Henry with a clipboard.
What I have during the preseason? No, I had a piece of paper and a Sharpie.
Okay, that's even more Henry, actually. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're not going to walk around with an iPad out there. That'd be weird.
No, you can't.
It wouldn't be an iPad. It would be a Samsung
the tablet.
Tablet.
Whatever they are. Whatever's worse than iPad, yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so there's one other thing I want to talk about with the defense and give credit to the big boys up front, but I got to give a shout out to our friends over at Breckenridge Distillery, where, boy, in the first half, there were probably a lot of nervous shots happening at the bar, and then a lot of celebratory Breckenridge Distillery drinks flowing at the DNVR bar, where it was popping yesterday. I mean, the first half of when I jumped on postgame with you guys, I could barely hear you. Henry, you said you couldn't even hear me because, I mean, it was so rowdy downstairs. The bar was popping, probably in help to Breckenridge Distillery, where the Breckenridge Bourbon Whiskey is the official bourbon and vodka of the Denver Broncos. And I got to say, got my hands on the Broncos official Breckenridge bourbon, where they've created a new one this season to honor this year, and it is so good. I had a couple of friends over that are big bourbon drinkers, and I had a couple of options, and they were like, oh, we want the Breckenridge. And I was like, okay, wow, you guys know your stuff. Let's drink the other one so I can save this one for myself.
Were you there?
I was not there.
I wasn't there.
You guys aren't bourbon people.
It is what it is. You don't know what I like. You never asked. You never asked me. I love Breckenridge bourbon.
Tequila.
Yeah.
Exactly. See,
Wow.
And Breckenridge bourbon isn't just one of our favorites. It's one of the most highly awarded craft bourbons in the U.S. So if you want to get your hands on it, check them out at your local liquor store. And if you want to get 2 tickets to the Breckenridge Bourbon Whiskey Suite, which is awesome, we went there last year to check it out. Share how you celebrate the Broncos by posting your photos to social media using hashtag Broncos Bourbon. Also, use code DNVR at checkout for free shipping on all of your orders over $99. Learn more at BreckenridgeDistillery.com.
And check out Bet365. I had a free bet, so I parlayed it with the Buffs to win and the Broncos to win this weekend. So I made a lot of money off of that. 2 easy locks. Have you seen the Broncos' new win total for the season?
No.
Have you,
8.5.
That would have been my guess too.
No, 6.5.
Oh,
6.5. So
wow.
yeah, so you should definitely be taking that if you think it should be 8.5. Yeah, I'm curious. We should go through and look at all the playoff odds and all that stuff too, because those are probably also changed. Every day, Bet365 powers up the odds on hundreds of bets, gives you a chance to win more than 10,000 boosts every month. The DNVR boost wouldn't have hit yesterday because Bo didn't throw for 200 yards.
150, but.
Oh, he didn't do that either. But yeah, so
He was only 90 off.
only 90. Yeah, geez. They boost specific markets, winnings, even parlays. Keep an eye out for custom DNVR bets and boosts like the one we had this weekend. If you sign up, you can take advantage of one of two different offers. So you can do the bet and get offer. You place about $5 or more, you get $200 in bonus bets. Or there's a first bet safety net offer. You place a bet up to $1,000. Qualifying bet loses, you received a match refund in bonus bets. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or somebody you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
Man, you know what custom bet I wish they would have had because I'm curious of the odds. Henry,
What?
you're kind of good at setting odds.
Oh, boy.
What would the odds have been to bet on Aaron Rodgers having more rushing yards than Breece Hall yesterday?
Wow.
Or, if we want to go even crazier, to have 5 times more rushing yards than
Wow.
Breece Hall yesterday.
Well, I've never seen a line like that before, but 100 to 1. Why not?
I think it would have been more. 5 times more?
Sure.
I think we're talking like 1,000
I mean, there's always like
to
the
1.
chance of injury or something.
Yeah, that's
though.
very true.
Yeah, which
Okay.
is how
Barring
our
staying
Badie
healthy.
bets died. Damn.
Because that's what Aaron Rodgers did. And I should say that's what the Denver Broncos defense did.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers had 5 rushes for 26 yards. I think his over-under was 3.5 rushing yards, so he blew that out of the water. But the Broncos defense killed Breece Hall, sorry. He had 10 rushes. Do you know how many yards he had?
Yeah, it was 0.4
Yes,
carry, right?
4
Yep.
yards in the whole game. 0.4 yards. That reminds me of like what you guys did to Zeke a couple of years ago. This might actually even better. Didn't Zeke average like 1.7 yards per carry or something like that?
Zeke was a little bit better at the time, so it's, it's not exactly apples to apples. But
The Broncos defense just suffocated them, held them to 2.8 yards per carry, and their star running back, Breece Hall, to 4 total rushing yards. Just
Yeah.
insane. So all the flowers to those guys up front, too.
Absolutely, man. They played a great game, and it's going to take a lot more great games until the offense figures it out. So we got to keep holding running backs to 4 yards. I don't know if we could do that, but that'll be up on the goal list
They
for
can
this
do it.
week.
They can do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I mean,
It is
Breece-
a little bit scarier when you're worried about the pass, though.
Are you worried about the pass with the Raiders this week?
There was an interesting game yesterday. I guess I only caught the second half of it, but there is, and that offense can make plays. You know that the offense can make plays. The defense can obviously make plays. The guys in the front, and that was even without Devontae Adams.
Are we
so-
talking about the same team? We're
Yeah.
talking about the Las Vegas Raiders?
Yeah.
Oh, get out of here. No
Did-
way.
did you watch the game,
If they're
though?
able to, I did not, no.
Yeah.
If they're able to shut down Aaron Rodgers in his home, no, the Raiders are going to be toast. But we'll dive into that game later. I want to get to a point, Todd, that you just said. Let's jump over to the offensive side of the ball. Just as encouraging as the Broncos defense was yesterday, I think to a lot of Broncos fans, maybe rightfully so, the offense was maybe just as concerning
Yeah.
there. We know the stat, -7 passing yards from Bo Nix in the first half. -7 passing yards in the first half, which is insane. He ends the day with 60 passing yards. I believe it's the fewest passing yards that a quarterback has had in a win when throwing 25 or more times. Ever. In the history of the NFL.
I know it's
So he's prolific.
it's the most
There
when
we
you
go.
average
He's
2.5
setting
yards.
his-
He's doing things that's never been done before.
Yeah. The last time the Broncos won a game when the starter threw for 60 yards or less. You want to guess who it was or when it was?
I already saw. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I tweeted it, didn't I? Brian Greasy in the year 2000, but he was 2 for 2 before he got hurt.
Yep.
And so then another quarterback came in. And the time before that the Broncos won when the starting quarterback threw for 60 yards or less, it was John Elway in his debut when he was benched at halftime.
Well, 1 for 8 or something for 14
and so then
yards.
the other guy came in and won the game.
But
Hey.
that's my point. Those guys didn't throw nearly 25 times like Bo did.
No, yeah, it was historically bad.
It was historically bad. So how concerned are you about the offense?
I am pretty concerned. I know that weather plays a part. in your ability to throw the football. But I just felt like there was too many passes that felt like they just got away from Bo last night. Too many errant throws that, you have Javonte in the flat, just get him the ball, it sails over his head. I think that one to Cortland in the end zone was like almost too high. Like if Cortland doesn't go up and get that ball, then it, you know what I'm saying? And he barely gets 2 feet in. So that's a great play by Cortland by saving that throw. I just felt like there was quite a few throws that got away from Bo in that game that I would like to see him like have a little bit better control over the football. And, everybody played in that same weather. So Aaron Rodgers had 225 yards. It didn't amount to a win, but I just see he was able to throw the ball a little bit better. Even under pressure, getting sacked 5 times. It just, I think I need to see more from Bo. And I think accuracy was his big thing coming out. And I think that's been the one thing that he hasn't had since he's played in the pros.
Yeah, and then just watching the game on TV, you don't really know that the weather is that bad. Like when you're watching it, it's raining, but it's not until like the middle of the second quarter when you're like, wait, is it really like so bad that they just can't throw the football? And again, that's what they said happened. And I'm curious. I know I was listening. I can't remember what game it was on Saturday, but Joel Klatt was calling a game where it was raining. And one of the things he said was that the toughest part for him when he was playing in the rain was getting the ball to come back down. Like he felt like getting the ball up was fine. It's just that it would always just kind of sail on him a bit. And that's what we saw with Bo over and over and over. Like how many times where there's an open receiver and ball just like it goes so high over the head the guy doesn't even jump. And you hope that he learns and adjusts. You're a little bit surprised that
playing in Oregon,
you would think. And he would have played what, like 13, 14 home games probably over the course of 2 years. So you'd think at least a couple of those would be in the rain. Maybe we need to go back and check and see just exactly what happened. But it doesn't mean he's never going to be good in rain, and it doesn't mean that the accuracy issues are going to translate this week against the Raiders. But it is just like one little check mark in the maybe this guy isn't good in rain column.
Well, no, I'm not going to go that far. I am going to give a massive pass to Bo on this game. It was disgusting. The weather was awful. And now it was probably like in the 60s, so it doesn't seem that bad. And the rain didn't really come across on TV. Like if you guys are saying that, it was disgusting. It was really bad before the game. The meteorologist kept saying, it's going to stop before the game. It never did. In fact, in the second half, it was still raining.
Wait, can we just talk about meteorologists one time?
Let's do
That's
it.
the one job where you don't have to be right and nobody gets mad at you.
Well,
There's no
baseball, you can bat
accountability.
300 and be great.
Yeah, but at least you got to hit the ball sometime.
Yeah.
Like, they could be wrong like 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Like they said it was supposed to stop raining and it stopped raining and nobody lost their job. Nobody's at the weather station right now with pitchforks and fire. Like,
So you want hashtag accountability for meteorologists?
please,
Maybe that should be our new hobby. Like
Can't
keep
just be out
the
here
meteorologist accountable.
Yeah.
Next time they get something wrong, we'll out there with our own
I
pitchforks.
came out in a sweater because you said it was going to be cold. Now the sun's out and it's 90 degrees. I'm sweating.
It's stupid
You ruined
here.
my day.
It was 91 degrees yesterday.
Yeah, that's wild
It's
because
dumb.
it was miserable in New York. And if you said that both teams were playing in the same conditions, Aaron Rodgers was bad in this game. Now, yes, he did have 225 passing yards. He did not look like Aaron Rodgers. He looked bad in the game. He had 57% completion. That's really bad for Aaron Rodgers. In the first half, when Bo obviously really struggled, Aaron Rodgers threw for 50% completion. And he only had 81 yards in the first half. Now, I know that's 88 more than Bo Nix because he had -7 yards. But still, Aaron Rodgers was bad in the first half. Overall, he was bad in this game. He did not score a touchdown. The one scoring drive that Bo Nix led, and that was a big part through his arm. He had, 3 or 4 big-time plays in that drive?
Yep.
Aaron Rodgers never did that in the game. So you guys are right. They did play in the same conditions. And Bo, in a stat of QBR, not passer rating, QBR, which takes into account sacks, rushing yards, all of that, as well as passing, Bo Nix had a better QBR than Aaron Rodgers. They said Bo Nix had a better day than Aaron Rodgers. So if Aaron Rodgers was really struggling in those conditions, I'm going to give Bo Nix in his first start in bad weather in the NFL. I'm going to give him a big-time pass, and that's what Sean did after the game, and I'm buying it. Now, Sean went and said that Bo Nix played well. I don't know if I'm going to go that far, but I'm giving him a pass for this. The weather was disgusting, and he maybe played like kind of just as well as Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers did not look like that dude yesterday.
But I thought that was because of the defense. Like you can't.
Don't the Jets have a good defense too?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, they're both quarterbacks playing in bad conditions, going up against good defenses.
Mm-hmm. But one threw for 225
But I'm not
yards.
I don't care what QBR. Like, I don't know the difference between QBR and passer rate. I like.
QBR goes in the PFF category.
I don't care, but
no, it's different.
The eye
That's
test.
how I put it.
The eye test says that Aaron Rodgers had a better day than.
Not by
Bo
much.
Nix.
I don't
disagree.
think so. No, I don't think Aaron Rodgers, you talk about Bo Nix's accuracy. Yeah, it was bad yesterday. Aaron Rodgers' accuracy was awful as well.
Yeah, but at one point in the game in the first half, Bo Nix was 7 of 7 for passes behind the line of scrimmage and 0 for 8 for passes beyond the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
I can't give him a pass. Like, I'll give him like, oh, he's a rookie, but it's not a pass on this game. And it's for a couple reasons. Not only because it's a bad weather game, but truthfully, he's had the one good game. The first 2 were not good. Third one, great. This one, not good. So I just don't think it's just like, oh, it's a pass. It was just a bad weather game. There's just more things he needs to work on, and that's okay. But I can't just say like, oh, it's okay. He was in the rain, or I'm gonna just give him a pass for it.
Also, I mean, like, how many quarterbacks do you have? Like, I think Payton was one of those, right? People always said Payton doesn't play well in bad weather. And I don't know if the data backs that up or anything, but like, again, it doesn't mean that he's doomed or that whenever it's raining, Bo is going to suck. But it is just a little check mark in that column where it's like, something to keep an eye on because he really, really, really struggled. Like,
okay, well then Aaron Rodgers plays bad in the rain. If you want to take that off of yesterday, Aaron Rodgers threw for 57% completion, no touchdowns, a 32 QBR. Like, everything you can point to for Aaron Rodgers was bad.
Yes, but it wasn't as bad.
Okay,
like,
Aaron Rodgers is a future Hall of Famer. So if we're saying that Aaron Rodgers was bad, I don't think it's bad that we would say Bo. Like, I feel like you guys are holding Bo to like a higher standard than Aaron Rodgers, which doesn't check out in my book.
No, I don't think I'm holding him to a higher standard. I understand, like, half of his QBR was to 5 sacks, and part of that is O-line missing blocks, Vance Joseph dialing up the right blitzes. Like, he got sacked a couple of times. If you take away those sacks, I think the numbers are what they are. I just think, like, throwing the ball yesterday, he did a better job of it than Bo Nix. And that's, you have one that's Hall of Famer, you have one that's a rookie. Like, but just honestly, like, looking at it versus what PFF says or any numbers, like the eye test would tell me, like, Aaron Rodgers had a better day. Didn't get the win, didn't throw a passing touchdown, but I think, like, what he did throughout the entire game was better.
Okay, so the QBR, I'll put that to the side. Just focus on passing because of the sacks. They might be, even though Sean says and has said for over a year now that sacks are more on the quarterback than the offensive line, which Bo didn't take any sacks yesterday. Bo's passer rating, purely passer rating, 67.9. That is bad. I'm not trying to turn that into good right now. Aaron Rodgers' passer rating, 72. These guys were pretty much neck and neck in that. And I just feel like Bo is getting dragged through the mud way more than Rodgers. They both had tough games going up against bad conditions, against good defenses. But, I mean, he played pretty much as good as Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion. The yards is such a...
Yards is what? Who cares about yards?
Empty stat. It can be such an empty stat at times.
Okay, but
it was empty for Bo.
But, like, if Bo
sure.
threw for 225 last night, then the game is 28-9. It's a very different ball game. They had him on 3 and outs, 3 and out, 3 and out. Like, the first half was like punt, fumble, punt. Like, that's not good.
What
and
was
that's
it
okay.
what was it for Aaron Rodgers?
Yes, he didn't do good either. But I'm just saying he put together more passing plays that connected, and that's what you want from your quarterback. He didn't have a rushing attack, which the Broncos had a little bit more of. Like, that's what helped Bo out, not necessarily his passing ability. Like, that's what helped the team out.
So maybe if the Broncos don't have a running game, then they have to throw the ball way more, just like Aaron Rodgers had to throw the ball 42 times compared to Bo Nix's 25 times. And then maybe if Bo Nix throws the ball 17 times more, he racks up
maybe we'll hit the next 17.
The empty 160 more yards that you so desperately want.
The thing is,
how? Tell me how he's doing that.
10-yard completions. That's how. Boom, right there.
How many of those did he even have?
There's the empty 160
We had the one drive.
passing yards you so desperately
We had the
want.
one drive that we have to keep doing more to create, but there was like one drive in that game, and sometimes that's enough to win you a game.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that's not going to be enough to win you a majority of your games in your schedule.
No,
Of course,
it's been
60
enough
passing yards is not, of course. I totally agree. But neither is 0 touchdowns that Aaron Rodgers had.
What about
Yes,
225
I agree.
yards, though?
I agree.
You're talking about 225 yards like this is something special.
I mean,
It's
compared
not
to
special.
Bo, like it's not
that's
that's great.
below
It's just
what
that
he
it's
did.
functional.
Okay,
225,
no.
225 compared to 60 is special.
The thing of
No, it is. Okay, wait. Let's continue this conversation
Okay.
because I think it's only going to get juicier with this next question I have after I give a shout out to our friends over at Premier Members Credit Union. And did you know that most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck right now? You probably do. And if you're one of them, you got to check out Premier Members Credit Union. They're a financial institution based right here in Colorado. With PMCU, you get local branches, friendly tellers, and the tools you need to save smarter, like a reverse tier money market. It's the account you need to get ahead and stay ahead in this economy. This is an organization that serves the community and the Colorado community in particular. Whatever your goals, they can help. PMCU is all about creating a better banking experience for their community. So why not see what they can do for you? Check out becomepremier.com to learn more.
Also, check out our events, whether it's coming here for the bar during games or going to the tailgates. We've got a lot of stuff coming up. I'm pretty sure they've started selling the, what do they call it? The road, not the road trips. When you go to the game, the Avalanche game.
Takeovers.
The takeovers. There we go. They're selling the takeovers for the Avs and Nuggets. I'm pretty sure, at least, or maybe I just saw the
No, I
list on
think
the
they
back
are,
end.
yeah.
Are they? Okay, that's good.
Or at least, if not, be ready for them.
Yes, also true. Tailgate season's obviously here. We'll be back out there on Sunday. I haven't checked the weather yet, but just given how it's been, it's probably just going to be disgustingly hot again, even though it's October.
I think it might be perfect football weather.
Oh, I
Wait,
hope
for the
so.
Broncos game?
Yeah.
On Sunday, 80 and sunny.
Okay, that's acceptable. That's getting back in the range. It's just stupid when it's 90 degrees in September. It's time to cool off.
It's fair.
Our tailgates are awesome. We got food from Primo Hoagies, Breck Brews, Breck Distillery, bunch of games, music, all that sort of stuff. Red Zone, that's an important one. That's why I always get there like right away so that I can just watch Red Zone when I get there because I don't want to miss anything. But you can go over, buy tickets at thednvr.com/events or just follow us on social, DNVR_sports, and you'll get all those updates. But again, thednvr.com/events. Check out our calendar.
All right, so let me ask you the question. Are you more encouraged by the Broncos defense or concerned about the Broncos offense following yesterday's game?
I think I was already high on the defense, so this performance is like kind of on pace with what I felt like they could be this year. I mean, we talked about it even before the season. I expected them to be a top 5 defense, and I think they're just proving that now. So I am a little bit concerned about the offense and their ability to move the ball down the field. The 3 and outs back to back has been a problem since the start of the season, and I think that's something we have to get, corrected because we want our defense to play at a high level, but I don't want them out there majority of the game. And have so much pressure on their shoulders. I want the offense to be able to produce as well. And I don't want anybody to feel like I'm a hater on Bo or anything. I just know as a player, I can honestly say, like, whether we won or lost the game, I can still sit back and say, like, hey, I did not have a good game. I missed 3 tackles. And, yes, we won today, but that's not going to be good enough for us to win in January or actually have a good season. So, being honest, I don't think he played better than Aaron Rodgers, but he did do enough for them to win the game, and winning is all that matters. But I got to be honest with myself about, like, if I was in that position or bad games that I've had, I know that I didn't do enough for us to get this win, even though we got the win.
Henry, I got a feeling you're going to agree with Todd?
Yeah, I think it's something similar. I think, again, it's really good to see the defense do this again. I think now we've hit the point after 4 games where we can say it's just a good defense. Like they know their stuff. They can do this against anybody. Again, like the weather, how do you factor that in? Defense and offense, like it's tough. Offense, I'm not sure because, again, like the weather was bad, and that is true. But also, they really haven't given you any reason to think that they're like this is one of the 5 worst offenses in the NFL. They found a way to throw the ball last week, and they found a way to run the ball this week, but they still haven't put a game together. There are a couple games where they got nothing going. I think I'm concerned about the offense. Again, though, if we're comparing to expectations, what do you expect from a rookie quarterback, though? Like this is just
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, but they got to do something for me to think that they're capable of being, a real functional offense.
So that's fair, and this is why I wanted to ask you guys this question, because I thought there were arguments on both sides. I am more encouraged by the Broncos defense because, Todd, you were maybe one of the only people that thought they were an elite defense coming into this season, and what they've done has been incredible, especially over these past 2 weeks. 8 points per game against two great offenses on the road. And let's look at the good thing about the offense. The offense ran the ball for 123 yards yesterday, averaged over 4 yards per carry. Jaleel and Javonte looked the best they have looked. And again, Aaron Rodgers looked bad in this game. So I'm giving a pass to Bo Nix for that. I've loved this conversation. Hope we have a little more spicy conversations this week, but we got to talk to the people in the comment section. Super Chat's popping off, so let's fly through them and hit out all of them. The Blind Swordsman coming in and says, Bo will figure it out. I like that the dude gets punched and gets back up. I think running the ball like in Tampa Bay and New York will do wonders for Bo. 100%. Totally agree, the Blind Swordsman. Can we get those a little bit bigger, Alyssa, please? Noah chimes in and says, actually, I can just read on the right side. We need to help out Bo. None of our receivers had over 1.5 yards of separation. Bo can't produce highly with those numbers. Y'all think we should go out and go get a good wide receiver through trade?
I don't know. I think that, part of Bo's job is going to have to be throwing guys open. Like, it's rare in the NFL. I mean, you see it from time to time, but it's rare that guys are just wide open, running down the field, and you just find them and catch them. Sometimes you do have to throw guys open who are covered and even blanketed in coverage. You just have to put the ball where your receiver has a chance that can make the play.
It's a great question, though. We'll see where the Broncos are come trade deadline. Chris Peters says, one thing I noticed between Broncos and Jets is discipline. Jets seemed unable to pay attention to detail despite the extra prep time they had. Good win. It's a great point, Chris. Broncos way better in penalties. Nash comes in and says, Little Jordan, 0.9, Dulcich, 1.2, Court, 1.4, Reynolds, 0.9. Terrible. I think that's probably yards and separation. Yeah, that's really tough there. Good stat there, Nash. Tamur Tahir says, I was at the game and the first half conditions were terrible for throwing. The turf was also used by Giants on Thursday. You could see the ball slipping on every throw. Proud of the team for a tough win. Yes, I mean, awful conditions. Totally agree. Douglas chimes in and says, Broncos D is a class example of the saying, the whole is greater than the sum of their parts. Thanks for your words right out of my mouth. Douglas, I love it. Stephen B says, Zach is 100% correct on this. Y'all tripping, LOL. Let's keep those type of comments coming.
Stephen B, you tripping.
Chat. I love it. Stephen also says, Broncos ran for 126 while the Jets ran for 64. Talk about that part. Love it, Steven. Shout out to the Broncos ground game. By the way, Sean Payton doesn't want to give Gabe ball, or doesn't want to announce who gets game balls. He said that yesterday. This morning, he said Quinn Minor's got a game ball. So he wanted to make it known that the big boys up front did their job. Tamura again says, Zach is right. Oh, my gosh. Let's read that again. Todd, do you want to read that part?
Zach is wrong. These guys
weren't. Said these guys weren't the game. We're not the game. They don't understand how bad the weather actually was. Bo was clutch on the 93-yard drive for the only touchdown. Wilson the Ghost says Bo and the offense have faced 3 of the top 5 current defenses in the NFL by yards per game. Gotta give him some grace for that alone.
Bo might have been helping those numbers out a bit. Just throwing it out there. I mean,
Hater Hank, drink that haterade.
just throwing it in there.
And then TV007 says, I'm with you, Zach. Let the rookie develop and watch.
To be clear, though,
we had a lot of support in the Toyota Super Chat, but only the people who supported Zach was sending super chats. Come on, guys, you know what I'm saying?
Throw some super chats in there, you know? Me and Todd recognized that Aaron Rodgers just didn't miss as many throws as Bo did.
He threw for 57%.
But the missed throws.
In the first half, he threw for 50%.
But I can think of one throw that he just missed.
Oh, I can think of way more. Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
Yeah, his accuracy was
But
bad.
how many open receivers did Bo miss? Over and over and over and over.
They both did. That's my point. Is
but
Aaron Rodgers was
nearly
just
as many.
as bad
No, he was
as
not.
Bo.
No, he was not. That's
If you
crazy.
honestly watch the tape, and I watched it so many times, there were so many times Aaron Rodgers was giving his receivers the death stare because this guy, he throws the ball, he throws a comeback, and the
Yes.
receiver's still running vertical. He's like, bro, you
It's
see,
okay.
you see man-to-man press coverage, you're supposed to wear a comeback. What are you doing?
It's okay,
So
like,
it wasn't good, but I saw
will
Aaron
get
Rodgers
better.
was pissed.
Bo will get better.
Well, Aaron
but
Rodgers
it was
has
not
a
similar.
lot better talent at receiver than Bo
Oh,
does
boy. Okay.
as well.
Now you're
I
talking
love
bad
Bo.
about our receivers. I love our receivers. See?
Aaron's
the hater
receivers
coming in?
could have jumped 10
Here's
feet
a
in the
crazy
air.
stat. Cortland Sutton had 60 receiving yards yesterday. Bo Nix had 60 passing yards. Every other receiver equaled 0 yards, which is
And if
just
he would've
wild.
hit him in the
Shout out,
chest.
Court. Shout
If he
out,
would've
Bo.
hit him in the
you
chest.
guys are the best. We'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Thanks for a fun show, everyone.
We all silly like the mayor.